Day one in Costa Rica started out really nice. It was just a relaxing day by the pool, and everyone kind of just sunbathed. By day two, everyone woke up bright and early, and we hiked up to Volcano Poas, and it was very beautiful. I really enjoyed the hike, and then we did another hike up to Botox Lake, and it was such a pretty blue color. We hung out there for a while, saw some pretty plants and wildlife, and then afterwards we went to a coffee tour. And that farm was so beautiful, and we learned a lot about the history and stuff. We ate lunch there and made friends with this cat. And then we even got into a butterfly garden. Our tour guide for the coffee farm mentioned that coffee is actually from Ethiopia, or at least this coffee, which was pretty cool. And then they also told us that a lot of the workers on the farm come from surrounding countries, and they get paid by little tokens that they'll turn in by the end of the week to get their money. At the end of the day, we got some food. Day three was once again a very early day, but we got to see this really cool place where two rivers come together, and then we did fruit tasting. And my stomach was turning a little bit, but I still tried everything, and most of it was pretty good. Then we headed on our way to La Tortuguero, where we took a boat to get to because it's on the Caribbean side of the island, and we saw some sloths and a lot of other animals on the way there. And then we were also greeted by some furry friends that we would end up seeing later in La Tortuguero as well. This was one of my favorite towns that we stayed in. It was just so laid back, and I feel like they were really living the Pura Vida lifestyle. There were so many art pieces everywhere, and they were gorgeous to view, and we got to try some coconuts there, and that coconut water was so good. Later, we had cooking classes for dinner and went to go look for critters. I think day four was one of my favorite days because we woke up early to do kayaking, and then we came back and did a boat tour, and we saw so much wildlife. There were monkeys, birds, and uh, caimans, crocodiles, everything, and the forest was so lush. Later, after the boating and kayaking, we had lunch, and we also played volleyball with some of the local students, which was super fun. And I mentioned previously that I was scared of the crocodiles and caimans. Well, we definitely saw some. Later in the afternoon, after our volleyball game, we went back to the same house we had cooking classes at, and they had a little band. This is where we had dance classes, and we had so much fun. And then later we ate, and then me, Jennifer, and Molly went on a little night tour, and we saw an armadillo. Look how cute this is. But we also saw plenty of other animals. Don't you worry, you'll see. Then we ended the night with a nice walk back to Ikako. At last, it was time for us to leave La Tortuguero. So sad. But we ended up on this beautiful farm where we got to eat some fruit before we headed off to this wonderful hike to two gorgeous waterfalls. This was also another one of my favorite days, but as you can see from the photos, the waterfalls were absolutely gorgeous, and the hike was rigorous yet very worth it. I love hiking. After the hike, I hung out with some of the animals, like this dog and a pig. Oh my goodness, I love pigs. And then we stayed at a homestay where everyone ate dinner, and there was a bat in Molly and I's room, which wasn't fun, but Molly got it out, thankfully. On day 6, we headed out to do whitewater rafting, and I fell in once, but it was rewarding because I got this delicious meal afterwards. Day 6, we didn't get to do much, but on day 7, we got to do surfing and a chocolate tour, and that was really it. But then we got dinner, and this was actually the best dinner I think I've had here. It was so good. The next day, we had a yoga class in the morning right before we went snorkeling. And a lot of people didn't really like the snorkeling, including myself, honestly. But we still got to see some fish, and I like swimming in the ocean, so it was fun. But then after snorkeling, we got to this beachy area where we saw sloths and monkeys, and there were signs for crocodiles and caimans, but we didn't see any. But we got lunch again, pretty good lunch. And then our boating tour for dolphins got canceled because of the weather, but I'm kind of happy because we saw poison dart frogs at a national park. Day 9 was our last full day in Costa Rica, but we got to do some waterfall rappelling. So much fun. I've never done that before, so this is new for me. And then we headed down the road to do ziplining, and I think a lot of people enjoyed the ziplining. I've done ziplining many times before, so I wasn't super thrilled, but it was still fun, and we saw some animals. But later we had our farewell dinner, and it was super fad, but we got some Tico awards and ate and went to bed.